by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world.
Today's video is a Q&A video. If I get more questions after this, I'll add them in. So I want to talk about 2 questions. I get them a lot, and I'm not sure why I get them a lot, because I've answered them in a lot of videos. So those 2 questions are, how many horses do you have, and tell us about your horses and how they are. So as many of you know, Fraser was my only horse. I didn't legally own him. I had him 6 or 7 years, and then we sold him, and my aunt and my grandpa owned him for 6 years. He was my only horse. So I thought I've clarified that Boog, Rose, and Skyla all belong to a man that I'm training for. So to clarify that, I don't own any horses at the moment. I do plan on buying one next year. So yeah, to clarify those 2 questions. But if how are the horses? I will answer that. Boog is doing wonderful. We're just not doing much training right now because of the weather. It's so crappy. As you guys probably seen from my last video, it's flooding, it's snowing. Places around us are being evacuated for state of emergencies. And yeah, it's pretty bad. So let's get on with the questions, and I'm gonna do these kind of backwards in a random order. So yeah. So when is your birthday? Sorry. Okay. My birthday is May 23rd, and I was born in 1996. So on May 23rd this year, I will be 24. How often do you ride? When I had Fraser, I rode 3 or 4 times a day for a couple hours each time. When I had the girls, since I was breaking them in or starting them, or whatever you want to call it, I was riding for the longest time daily, 2 to 3 times a day for about 20 minutes each time. And I would work on different things in the beginning. So in the beginning with the girls, I would do, Rose, we had to go backwards. Rose would not canter with the saddle on. So I would do trot with her, and then the next time I rode her that day, I'd ride her bareback and work on cantering, because as soon as we took out the saddle, she would canter when we were starting her. She just didn't feel comfortable enough yet with that saddle on to canter with the rider. She would lunge and canter, but for some reason with the rider, she did not feel confident yet. So now that I don't have a horse to ride, I don't ride. It sucks. I really, really, really want to go out and go for a ride right now. But Boog is not started yet, and that'd be a disaster. Be entertaining for you guys, but it would not be fun for me. So right now I don't ride at all, but if it were up to me, at least once or twice a day, or at least every single day for a long time. What is your dream horse? So if I can find a picture, I'll insert it, but my dream horse is a drum. It is a, I believe, a Gypsy Vanner crossed with any other big drop horse. If you didn't work with horses, what would you be doing? So a lot of you may or may not know, but I actually did dog 4-H. So dog 4-H, I was in dog 4-H for 6 years, and I was a junior leader for 3. So what a junior leader is pretty much a trainer. And our trainers would come in, and they would sit and pretend like they weren't there. If you needed help, you had to figure it out because you were teaching the class. So I would be a dog trainer for obedience. I've actually had 2 clients for that. So I'm not gonna get into that. It's a whole other story if you guys want to know about those clients. Wiley, actually, if you guys see my fun tricks video, Mr. Boogabet, who's over here smelling, he knows a ton of tricks. He knows play dead. He's not the best at it, but he knows it. He knows meerkat pose. He knows back up, come, lay down, army crawl. He's learning to speak. Annabelle doesn't really know much. She doesn't seem to enjoy it as much as Wiley. So I'm not going to worry about it because they're just tricks. So I do trick training and agility and obedience training with my dogs or with other people's dogs. What's one thing you wish you could do with horses? Compose myself and not get upset with them. If you guys have seen in my videos, when Boog does something that is not acceptable, and he knows it's not. I do get after him, and it's mostly just popping the halter, making him back up real quick, making him yield his hindquarters real quick. And I kind of want to be like other people who stop by, they just give one quick correction and leave it. I was always kind of taught, I was raised around old cowboys who really got after their horses. So when you're raised like that, you kind of think that's the right way. And so I kind of get after him quite a bit to make the point across. And I want to do just like a quick correction and leave it. I also want to learn how to yield their forequarters, because I find when I'm yielding Boog's forequarters, he sidesteps over, but then as soon as I go to stop him, he keeps moving away. And I don't want to reward him to keep moving away, but you have to reward the try. So I feel like I'm rewarding him to try and then move away from me. So that's what I would want to fix. Favorite YouTubers. So, 3 favorite YouTubers I have is Blue Rock Horsemanship. She's taught me a lot, and she's helped me a lot. I've learned to not react as much with the girls. Oh my god, I reacted way too much. I was always taught, I was around these people who, if the horse didn't do what they wanted, that horse got whacked. And so I kind of thought that was the correct way. And Rose and Skyla really taught me after the first few times I messed up with them that that is not the correct answer. That just makes them more afraid of you. That makes them not trust you. And I learned with Rose and Skyla a lot. Skyla would run from me, and I wouldn't like beat them, but I would get after them too much. I would whack on them if they didn't try. And I stopped doing that. Don't worry guys, I'm not doing that anymore. I've learned a lot from that. Skyla would run and hide from me. Rose would actually become aggressive with me. She would pin her ears and kind of come at me and challenge me a little bit, like, hey, if you're going to do this to me, I'm going to get after you. And after about a week, I learned, no, that's not the correct answer, and I stopped doing it. Once in a while, I used to kind of get after him a little bit and kind of lose my temper again, but I've actually learned a lot, and I don't remember the last time I got after them out of anger or out of frustration, more than rather them not trying. So I'm proud of myself for that. So Blue Rock Horsemanship is one of my favorite YouTubers, and Valentina Cowgirl and Day by Day Vlogs are my 3 favorites. What is your favorite horse breed? So I like appendixes, which if you don't know what that is a thoroughbred crossed with a quarter horse, and I like the breeds individual, so a quarter horse and a thoroughbred. If you had to meet any famous horse, who would it be? I've actually met a horse named Goliath, and he was, correct me if I'm wrong, I have the card somewhere, I think about 20 hands tall. I've actually met him. How long have you been training horses? So, okay, this one can get a little technical. So, I grew up with horses my whole life, and every horse I got, whether it was Frazier, I had a mare named Dolly, I had 2 horses, Buddy and Bear, I had a mare named Misty, and each of them needed something when they came to be my horse. Frazier was hard to catch. If you rode him in a halter or hackamore, he would bolt with you, and you better hang on. He wouldn't trailer load, he would run you through the trees, he freaked out at trains and guns, and we were doing cowboy minded shooting, so he had to get used to that. So if you want to get technical, I've worked with them a lot, and when we had 25 horses, my grandma bought them, and we did a lot of training with yearlings and fillies, of teaching them how to lead, teaching them how to be touched all over, teaching them how to load on the trailer. Field training, like starting from the ground training, about almost 4 years, because I've had Rose, Skyla, and Boog, and the girls were here for almost 3 years, and now Boog's been here almost a year. I haven't got very far with him, but he did come right before winter, so that was kind of a disadvantage. So if you want to be technical about starting horses from the beginning, teaching them how to lead, being handled and everything at 3 years old, 4 years. 4 years, because that's when I've been starting 3 horses. Sorry. My throat's dry. If you could try anything with a horse, what would it be? That's a hard question because I've taught horses how to hug, how to smile, how to bow, how to lay down, how to rear. I think I would want to be able to teach them how to lay down and how to rear, but not do it under saddle. Rose and Skyla, they love, if you go back and watch the videos, Skyla doesn't really love to rear. She kind of looks like she's pissed off that she has to do it. But she really did, I think, enjoy laying down. And Rose, you could tell in the videos, she loved to rear. She would be spunky. But the problem was, they were doing it under saddle. They would lay down with me on the hill. They would lay down on my mom on the hill. They would rear up on the hill, going anywhere. If they didn't want to do anything, they would rear. And a lot of people don't understand, when you teach tricks, you need to discipline or get after or correct or whatever you want to call it when the horse does it when it's not asked. Because if you don't, they're going to start thinking it's okay to do it when they want. And that can be very dangerous. Like I said, Skyla laid down on my mom twice on the hill and laid on top of her. Yeah. But a lot of people think, oh, I'll just teach my horse a trick and it'll be dandy. Every time the girls would rear or lay down, I had to wear spurs with them because they kind of figured out that I didn't have the strength in my legs because I hadn't ridden in 6 years. So I lost all the muscles in my legs. So they kind of figured out that if I didn't have spurs on, they could do what they wanted. So when they would rear, what I would do is take my reins, and let's use the bottle. Say this is the horse's head, and over here's the saddle horn, and I'm sitting. If they reared, I would grab the reins and pull down to their shoulders. So it was down and back instead of straight back. If a horse is rearing and you're pulling straight back, they're going to go on top of you. If you pull down and then back, that puts leverage on their face to get their head down, and they can't stay up when they're like that. So I would get their head down, and then I would move them with my spur and make them yield their hindquarters, and I'd make them run really tight circles and then flex their head in and then run tight circles this way and flex their head in. And I'd work them for a good minute or so, and then I'd go back and ask them what I was asking them to do. If they went up, we did it again. If they were whatever I was asking, they got lovin's and they were rewarded. As for the laying down, as soon as I felt them buckle down, I would kind of just take the tip of my boot and pop them on the armpit. And if they still were trying to go down, I just gave them one quick hard pop with my leg to kind of shock them out of that, to make them think, oh, when I start to go down, I get like this sharp little pop. Not everybody agrees with doing it that way. That's fine. That is what worked for me. If you have any questions that you missed or forgot about, comment them down below and I'll do a part 2.